See, America till today has done military actions in over 100 countries, but people don't talk much about it. And they don't consider terrorism, in fact. Right now, it seems like the whole focus has come on opening the Strait of Hormuz should not be choked. Iran actually has emerged stronger after this war.
Is there any possibility of Operation Sindoor 2.0 in near future? Don't you think it is right time for India to strike Pakistan when it is engaged with Afghanistan?
During Op Sindoor, in 3-4 days' time, we had got actually Pakistan to its knees, and it was the right time to actually get POK back. Pakistan was on its knees. We could have hammered them.
Victories like few people have ever seen before. Tonight, Iran's navy is gone. Their air force is in ruins. Their leaders, most of them, terrorist regime they led, are now dead shortly. We're going to hit them extremely hard over the next 2 to 3 weeks. We're going to bring them back to the Stone Ages where they belong.
We send a message to our American and Zionist adversaries. Your information about our capabilities, military power, and equipment is incomplete. You know nothing of our vast and strategic capacities. Do not assume that you have destroyed our strategic missile production centers, long-range offensive drones, advanced air defense systems, electronic warfare capabilities, or our specialized equipment.
The current escalation in West Asia has entered in second month, following the joint US-Israeli airstrike on Iran, which has now escalated into a full-scale war, raising serious concern about a wider regional conflict, a global energy crisis, and a new phase of geopolitical instability. With Iran's strong retaliation and the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, through which nearly 20% of global oil supply passes, the consequences are no longer limited to the region. They are being felt across the world, including here in India. The conflict is not just about a military strike or territorial tension. It is about shifting the global power equation, rising energy insecurity, and the possibility of a wider confrontation that could reshape international politics in the upcoming months. In this context, I spoke Mohammad Ali Shah, a retired army officer and former major in the Assam Rifles, who has served on the line of control in Jammu and Kashmir and closely observed military strategy at higher levels during his time as ADC in the Northeast. In this conversation, we go beyond the headline to understand what is really unfolding in West Asia. We ask whether the initial strike by the US and Israel was a calculated move or a strategic misstep. We discuss Iran's response and whether its military strength has been underestimated by global powers, and we also examine the larger consequences, particularly the impact of disruption in oil global supply and what it means for countries like India, which depends heavily on energy imports. Most importantly, we focus on India. How prepared is India to deal with this effect of this conflict? Where does it stand diplomatically between Iran and Israel? And if the situation escalates further, what are the real challenges India could face in terms of defense readiness, security, and strategy? This is not just a distant war. Its impact is immediate, complex, and deeply connected to India's issues. I am Shoaib Malik Azad, and here is our conversation with Mohammad Ali Shah. So, in this conversation, we will talk about the ongoing West Asia conflict. But before delving into the topic, I'm interested to know about your personal and professional life. So, you have a multi-skill and dynamic personality. You are a retired army officer, an actor, a motivational speaker, Could you please tell us about your journey and who you are actually?
So basically, what am I? As William Shakespeare had once said, all the world's a stage and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man's life plays many parts. At first, the infant mewling and puking in the nurse's arms, and then the whining schoolboy with a satchel unwillingly to school. So basically, as William Shakespeare had once said, we all actors, right? So there are times when I was serving in the army, I was playing the role of an army officer. I went to IIM Calcutta, I was playing the role of a management student. When I entered the corporate sector, I was playing the role of a corporate executive. And when I was CEO of a company, I was playing the role of a CEO. When I came on TEDx, I was playing the role of a TEDx speaker. When I went outside, so it's all, I am a defense analyst on television. Like in 2024, on a very, very big news channel, Indian news channel, they awarded me the best defense analyst on television. Firstly, because I love reading. I wore these glasses courtesy to reading. Secondly, because I feel don't have to be excellent, don't have to be outstanding, don't at your job. You got to be exceptional. You got to be better than the best in this cutthroat competition, this competitive world.
You are more defense expert, you are more actor, or you are more army officer?
The simplest way to answer it is as an actor. Because an actor would cover everything. You got to be a versatile actor, that too. An actor who's versatile. Yeah.
So just you have talked about you are the CEO in the company and you are working in Genpact with handsome salary and you are doing extraordinary in acting as well. And you won multiple awards in acting. Despite these, you prefer to join the Indian Army to continue your family legacy in nation service or something else?
Very good question. Thank you for asking me this question, because I have announced it, I've put on social media, I've given podcasts, and I'm tired in answering to people that people ask me, why did you leave the army? I say, no, I never left the army. Why did you resign? The term is resign. I never resigned. I joined the army and I did not resign at all. I resigned from a job, from a multinational company, where I was drawing a very handsome salary, where I was getting more in a month than I would have learned in a year in the army. I resigned from there to join the army rather. And I joined the Short Service Commission in the army. Short Service Commission, now it's for 10 years. At that time, it was for 5 years. Okay. And I saw it like an education. Very few people know of this. In the year 2001, when I aspired to be an actor, a professional actor, Randeep Hooda, the famous actor, Shahid Kapoor, famous actor, and myself, we were in the same acting workshop, which was being run by Nasir Saab, Mr. Nasiruddin Shah, at the National School of Drama. And they were NSD third year students, and we were the 3 only external students who had got special permission to do this workshop.
As I feel, sir, you are enjoying more in acting, but still I want to talk about your nation service in the army. You are a major in Assam Rifle and you are posted as a lieutenant on the LOC in Jammu and Kashmir. What was your experience and how did it shape your understanding about the conflict and warfare?
Firstly, I must compliment you for the kind of research you have done. It speaks volumes of the work that you've been doing. And most ever, very few people, very few journalists, very few anchors, very few speakers I've seen who have that presence of mind and who are spontaneous. When you heard me, from the questions you get answers, right? From the answers you get questions. Yes. When you heard me talk about when I was CEO of a company, you picked up the peg, the lead from there. That's a very good quality. I must compliment you on that. Now the very fact is, in 5 years, basically, army trained me for a lot of things. And I was not into geopolitics. I was never interested in geopolitics earlier. Now, so I read up everything on geopolitics. I love it. It's become a passion now. So it happened by chance. I was an actor. I was in Bombay giving auditions. I acted in a few national award-winning films like Haider, Bajrangi Bhaijaan, The Tashkent Files. They had won national awards. So when the unfortunate and dastardly and cowardly Pulwama attacks happened on 14 February 2019, I wrote an open letter to Jaish-e-Mohammed, the terrorist outfit. And through my words, this time not through bullets, but through my words, I gave them hell. I said, you are the biggest enemies of Islam. Where in Islam is written, show it to me. That jihad means go and kill innocent people. Never. It doesn't encourage that at all. And because of people like you, the entire community gets a bad name. And I felt it to be duty bound because I had served in J&K and I was a Muslim myself. I said, my sentiments were hurt. I was like, how dare they? And I gave hell left, right and center to Jaish-e-Mohammed. That letter became viral. It became so viral, it had some millions of shares.
Yes.
And I was interviewed by the leading news channels, by the face of the channel. And because I was an actor.
Okay, so coming back to the topic, which is the West Asia war, it has been a month since the US-Israel attack on Iran. How do you assess the situation now? Has it escalated beyond expectations?
Oh yes, beyond expectations, I will not say right now because I had expected it definitely, and they have been predictions by a lot of people. In fact, earlier as well. I'm not talking about Nostradamus' prediction only. There have been predictions where a war will start from the Middle East, which will engulf the entire world, and that will be a big disaster. And there have been a lot of predictions on those lines. If I have to tell you from the beginning, oil was first discovered in the Gulf, in Iran. Iran was the first country where oil was discovered in 1908 from Masjid-e-Soleimani. And when oil was discovered there, obviously, it so happens, there's greed, human nature.
Yeah.
Oh, so-and-so has got wealth. Okay, let's go and pounce there. America was eyeing that oil. 1914, the First World War started by one assassination of a big religious head, in fact, the Duke was assassinated in Austria-Hungary. 1918, so 4 years, America had sworn that they will not join this war. They will not participate in the First World War. But when 3 ships, American ships, which were protecting Britain, the surrounding Britain, when they were drowned, America was forced to come into this war again, right? So the world got engaged with the First World War. 1939 to 1945 was the Second World War. Oil was discovered in the meantime. Suddenly in Iran, there's money coming in. I'm telling you this in a story format so that our viewers who do not follow geopolitics, they get the basic crux of it.
Yeah.
Now,
the background is very necessary to understand the whole situation. So continue what you are saying. We are understanding.
Thank you, Shoaib. Thank you. So oil was discovered and there was money coming in. Now money, since oil is coming, it's like you found a treasure. Oil is coming. Now the world got engaged with the First World War. 1919, the League of Nations, the Paris Peace Conference, in fact, happened, which went on for over a month. And in 1939 to 1945, the Second World War, which was very different to the First World War. Now, what happened was Japan bombarded Pearl Harbor in 1941 at the Hawaiian Islands. There was a Battle of Midway, which was fought in 1942, Japan and America, that still went on. America responded to that in 1945 by bombarding Japan with atomic bomb. They bombarded Hiroshima, Nagasaki. The effects of that are still felt even in Japan, even till today, right? But they did not bombard Tokyo. They could have.
Why not?
Exactly, good question. They didn't bombard Tokyo because my reading is the leadership of Japan was all based in Tokyo. The president, the prime minister, the other ministers. If they bombard Tokyo, you need someone to communicate, to keep the channel of communication open, to keep the dialogue going. Right? They did not bombard Tokyo. Now, 1945 this happened, so world is still busy. 6 years later, in 1951, there came a prime minister of Iran called Mohammad Mossadegh. Now, Mohammad Mossadegh saw that oil is being generated by Iran.
So it's our property.
Our property. But the profit is going to somebody else, to America, who's exploiting us. Why? There was trading and all happening in petrodollar. Now, what is petrodollar for our viewers to understand? Petrodollar, when you buy oil, you trade in the currency of the nation, like of some of the nation, say dollars. That's petrodollar, simple. So As a result, the dollar was becoming strong. So Mohammad Mossadegh said, it's our property, it's our oil, where the fruits are being enjoyed by America. So he nationalized all the oil refineries of Iran. When he nationalized it, obviously America was out now.
What happened when America was out?
So now when America got out, they felt left out and they got angry. So in 1953, 2 years later, they, like the way they did in Venezuela, for everyone to understand, about 3 months back, they picked up Mohammad Mossadegh, and Mohammad Mossadegh was ousted from power. And they put a person of their choice, a dummy head of state. That is the Shah of Iran, Mohammad Shah Raza Pahlavi. He came there into power. He was a very flamboyant man, puppet government of America. In fact, he would spend a lot of money, he and his wife. And because they were a rich country, Iran was a lot of money, and they were not towing the line of America. There were no sanctions, nothing. And Iran was becoming very modernized. There were casinos, there were discotheques, there were pubs, there were dance bars, there were cabaret, women were out on streets. I mean, there was no limitation to how modern Iran was getting. They were influenced by the westernized culture. In 1971, when the Indo-Pak war was on over here simultaneously, my father also fought in that. There's no context to this, but again, parallelly, while this was happening, that time in Iran, he threw a festival, which was to celebrate 2,500 years of the Persian Empire. And 60 head of states were invited to Iran. Imagine 60 head of states. So you can imagine the expenditure. We did G20 a couple of years back in our country. We had changed. Imagine 60 head of states in Iran that time was big, huge. Fine. It was a 3-day festival. Now comes very interesting part, a turning point. In 1978, after the Friday prayers in Iran, a small protest broke out, very small. That rose, a small throw in the water can create a small tsunami. A small spark can create a forest fire, right? A small protest broke out in Iran. That flared up. Within hours, the whole Iran was out on streets. And they were protesting against Shah Raza Pahlavi, the Shah of Iran. And they said, no, he's a puppet of America. We want our Prime Minister back. Who is with the Americans? So they protested. Now Shah Raza Pahlavi, the Shah of Iran, had to run away from Iran. Yeah, until then, and in 1979, January 1979, this happened. Until then, Ruhollah Khomeini was against this guy. Right, he was in exile, but why was he in exile? He was in exile because he was against Mohammad Shah Raza Pahlavi. He would give speeches against him. He would talk up against him, write against him. So the head of state said, so that's why he spent time in Iraq, he spent time in Turkey, he spent time in Europe, in Paris, in France. So he was in Paris that time in France when he came back in February 1979 and he formed his own government over there. That's the time the Irani army was there, which was very loyal to Mohammad Shah Raza Pahlavi, the Shah of Iran. He formed the IRGC, Irani Revolution Guard Corps, IRGC, which is not the regular army of Iran.
Yeah, it's the special.
But they are known as the private army of the Khomeinis. So he formed that because he said they should have that loyalty towards me. Why not? And he continued. That's the time when America started imposing a lot of sanctions on Iran, one after the other. Now, Iran had natural resources, it had oil, it had money, it kept going strong. Despite those sanctions, Iran was going strong. Now, Khomeini government was very conservative, Kattarpandi, So, but one thing is there. The Shah of Iran, Mohammad Shah Raza Pahlavi, was not India's friend, by the way. He was not pro-India. Khomeini, in his house, he can be whatever he wants. He can be however conservative he wants. He was always a friend of India. People don't know this, that Shah of Iran was not very pro-India, by the way. He never took a pro-India stance. Khomeini, in his house, he can be whatever he wants. He can do what you want there, yeah? But he was always a friend of India. He never took an anti-India stance, by the way.
So, I want to ask a question. Attacking Iran merely to change the regime was a calculated or miscalculated move by the US and Israel that triggered a wider conflict. What do you believe?
Miscalculated, totally miscalculated.
Can you explain?
Yes, yes, I would love to. See, America till today has done military actions in over 100 countries, but people don't talk much about it. And they don't consider terrorism, in fact. They're like, in 1953, as I mentioned just now, in 1954, they did it in Guatemala. In 1973 in Chile, in 2001 in Afghanistan, when Taliban government was there, they toppled it. Of course, Taliban had become very unpopular, so people did not, it was a welcome thing.
We'll talk about the Taliban government
Yeah.
in the last.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Sure. In 2003, they invaded Iraq in 3 weeks. They did the same thing in Libya, they did the same thing in Syria. Colonel Gaddafi's case, in fact, it was a breach of trust, I would say. And America basically went on. America fought with Russia. Right now the war is going on, Russia-Ukraine. It's basically a war between Russia and America, actually. America has been very smart not to put boots on ground. They've used Ukraine nice and proper. They put Ukraine dhal bana ke beech mein, like a shield. You go, fight. You get killed. So America now, it was, why I say a miscalculated move, because 4th February this year, before 4th February, USS aircraft carrier Abraham Lincoln was there in the Gulf of Oman. Donald Trump was sending their troops around Iran. For a month, we were in it became a daily soap. Will America attack Iran or not? Will America attack Iran or not? And every day I was on national news channels, big channels, and we would say, next few hours are very crucial. Next 24 hours, let's see, by tomorrow. And this went on for 1 month, Shoaib bhai.
Yes. It's more than 1 month.
More than, yeah. No, this whole thing that America is scaring Iran, will they attack or not? Then on 4th February, they had a very fine meeting and both the parties agreed. It was a good meeting and let's continue, good start. And they were in dialogues. People believe that a peace was being brokered as well. That is the time, suddenly we get the news that America and Israel have attacked Iran. And in 48 hours, in 24 hours, they finished the government. Their Supremo, their defense minister, their IRGC chief, they were all having a conference basically at Khomeini's.
Basically, America was thinking that if we kill or assassinate the top leadership, then we can easily change the regime over there. What do you think?
Yes, even I presume that was in their mind, but that did not happen. Sorry.
As you mentioned, the American attack was miscalculated. Iran retaliated very strongly. Is Iran military stronger than what Western countries or Western powers had assumed? Had Mossad or and CIA failed to assess the Iran's military powers and defense powers?
No, Iran wasn't as strong as militarily. They didn't have a proper air force, they didn't have a proper navy. They had IRGC, which is not even proper. They have their proxies. Hezbollah from Lebanon, Houthi from Yemen, and Hamas, which Iran breeds them. They had their proxies. So Iran wasn't really militarily strong, but they played it very intelligently, this war. Firstly, IRGC has got 31 districts. So they decentralized their districts, which means if I get attacked, you don't have to wait for orders from the top central command that to attack. You just go ballistic, badak, thoko.
So let's talk about the impact of the war. Iran closed the Strait of Hormuz. Nearly 20% of the global oil passes through this strait. How it affected global energy supply?
A very good question, in fact. See, right now it seems like the whole focus has come on opening the Strait of Hormuz should not be choked. But tell me one thing, Shoaib bhai, before the war broke out, wasn't the Strait of Hormuz open? Ships were going and passing by?
Iran has continuously saying that Strait of Hormuz only open for our friendly country.
Iran actually has emerged stronger after this war. How? Earlier, they were not controlling the Strait of Hormuz. Now, Iran is controlling the Strait of Hormuz. They've taken control. They are the ones who's deciding which ship will pass by, which ship will not. 20% of oil from Strait of Hormuz. People haven't spoken much, many people have spoken about the 30% of the internet cables around the world which pass through the Strait of Hormuz. People haven't spoken about the 12% oil that the Red Sea it's transported through the Red Sea, where the Houthi rebels are dominating over there. So how will it affect? There is going to be heavy collateral damage, not in terms of physical casualties only, in terms of natural resources, gas, energy. One more thing is, China. You look at China's geographical location. China's geographical location is such that it has to be dependent for energy out from outside. But with China, it is, there are only 3 countries which are supplying oil to China: Venezuela, Iran, and Russia. 47% of the oil comes from Russia. Rest from Iran and Venezuela. America had analyzed that their biggest threat is China, actually, not Russia. Now, how do they choke China? They picked up the Venezuela president, saying that it is drugs. Yeah, no. That was the petrodollar was. He refused to deal in dollars, right? To trade in dollars. So he said counterband, drugs. Let's arrest him. What arrest here? Kidnapping. What are you?
That's the same thing they did with Gaddafi.
Yeah.
Mass restriction.
Exactly.
They have.
Gaddafi had said, I will trade in gold, but I will not trade in dollars. You will tell us. Someone enters your house and says, today you don't cook this, cook that. Today you don't do this, do that. How are you spending your money? Your money should not be spent like that. It should be spent this way. What are you wearing? Come on, wear something else. Somebody will come and tell you. Do you like it? Your own house, yeah? Their own sovereign government, sovereign nation, yeah?
India is a part of BRICS, and BRICS wants to introduce its own currency. Do you think Trump is not happy with India because India is a part of BRICS. And BRICS is challenging to US dollar?
Yes, of course. I mean, America felt left out. The BRICS will become, I will lose out. So America felt, it's like any human nature, yeah, you would feel jealous also, no, when you see. So that part, that element was there, definitely.
From a defense perspective, how India should be concerned about this conflict which is happening in the West Asia?
See, firstly, we could be affected in terms of oil. So far, we have not touched wood. We should be grateful that we are living a very normal life. It's been a month of the war and we would have felt the heat. But slowly and gradually, the heat is going to come up to us as well. Everyone will not be living as normal lives as people are living. They think it's easy. So it's very, I'm not pro-government. I'm not against the government either. I'm being very balanced and very fair to all the sides when I speak with full responsibility and authority. And I say that it's very difficult to do this balancing bit, when you have interest in both sides. You can't afford to upset Iran.
Yeah.
You can't afford to upset Israel. America, 25% tariff, again 25% tariff.
But
Mexico spared, whatever, I'm giving an example. Canada, this is my tariff. So Pakistan, my favorite field marshal, Assam Rifles, Donald Trump does that, right?
Yes.
Probably it's one senile. He actually probably, God knows what mind he's got, unpredictable completely. Because of one man, the entire nation is going to face embarrassment. And next president who comes there, in his 4-year term, he's going to be apologizing to the entire world.
Does this situation pose any direct or indirect security threat to India?
So far, security-wise, not really, so far. But with, regarding collateral damage in terms of, say, the energy supply or the internet, these are things,
Okay, sir.
It does pose a threat.
Suppose in future our neighbors attack our sovereign country. How much India is prepared militarily to fight the multi-front war?
Okay, very interesting question. Are not so friendly neighbors like China, Pakistan, Bangladesh now, no one has the guts or the courage to attack India.
But China did in Galwan and
It was a skirmish with line of actual control. 3,400 kilometers of stretch. There's a line, it's a perception. There's no line. Like the Mac-Mahon line, it was drawn with a thick leaded pencil on a small scale map on paper. So when you go on ground, that same small line will be thousands of kilometers. So it's a perception. There are many times that Chinese patrols, Indian patrols come to face. This is my land, no my post, but on my map, no my map. And they've been hand fights, fist fights. They've fought with bars, with clubs, with sticks.
on paper, India looks very powerful in terms of military and defense power. In practice, what is the one area where the military is still most vulnerable?
See, we have to keep on evolving and keep on changing with technology. Earlier, to everyone to understand, earlier in our time when we could do 100 push-ups, robust soldier, good guy. Now you got to be tech savvy. Now, sitting in your command post, sitting in your AC office, if by one click of a button, you can see on the screen, you can launch a missile. Op Sindoor proved it. We thrashed Pakistan there, but we won the battle. But somewhere, to be honest, we lost on narrative.
Yes, obviously.
Because the information warfare of Pakistan was very strong. Information warfare is very lethal actually. People say drones, modern warfare. There was a Chinese author called Sun Tzu. He wrote a Chinese book on strategy called The Art of War. Like there's an art for acting, for anchoring. There's an art, the craft, right? So I'll mention, it's a very, very, very good book. I'll mention 3 important points. One was, how do you win a war without fighting, which China does?
Very important.
Means without firing a single bullet and you have won the war. Information warfare, psychological warfare, cyber warfare. You play with the psyche of the opponent. Use of spies, very important. You should know what's happening, know your enemy well. You should know what's happening the other side. But again, on the lighter side, Donald Trump feels if you don't know the enemy, which means the enemy also does not know you.
So we are not strong enough in this, what you are saying.
Information warfare. Information warfare, we should be more strong enough. We should be more strong. And my suggestion through your channel is the ADGPI is doing a very good job. They should have impaneled officers chosen by them to come on television and speak on defense matters.
In your view, how strong is India's current military and defense capability compared to the global world power?
No, we are a very strong army. Very strong army. Our navy is almost on the verge of becoming a blue water navy. A blue water navy is basically a navy which can operate outside its shores, outside its waters. There's a brown water navy and there's a blue water navy. Brown water navy is like Pakistan and Bangladesh is brown water navy. Muddy water, dirty water, close by. Blue water navy, China, America. We've got a good relation with countries like Seychelles, Oman, Indonesia, that when our ships go, they have the refueling, rest and recoup facility. So, and our Air Force is again Alfred Thayer Mahan, American strategist. Alfred Thayer Mahan in military, if you do staff college and all, you would read books, you would know about Alfred Thayer Mahan. He had said, he who rules over the sea will rule the land ultimately. Sir Walter Raleigh had said, he who commands the seas will command the land. In the Ottoman Empire in history, Admiral Hayreddin Barbarossa had advised Emperor Solomon the same thing. Then we heard, he who commands the skies, he who rules over the skies will rule the world. I am saying, he who controls and rules over the media will rule the world.
So, as you talk about the Operation Sindoor, obviously we won the Operation Sindoor, but we did not on the information warfare. So, is there any possibility of Operation Sindoor 2.0 in near future? Don't you think it is right time for India to strike Pakistan when it is engaged with Afghanistan and Iran-Israel war is also happening?
During Op Sindoor, in 3-4 days' time, we had got actually Pakistan to its knees, and it was the right time to actually get POK back. Right time. And in a way, our nation would say we missed the opportunity. It slipped off our hands.
Where we did mistake.
We did not get POK, like the ceasefire. We agreed to the terms of ceasefire. Pakistan was on its knees. We could have hammered them. But such a shameless nation in Pakistan, they lost the war. Look at their information propaganda. After losing the war, the chief marshal, the chief army staff promoted himself to a field marshal, who I call a failed marshal. Field marshal.
But he is too much favorite
Of Donald Trump.
Of Donald Trump.
Because birds of a feather flock together. Okay. So now the fact is, if you see Colonel Sofia Qureshi's notes and Vyomika Singh's notes, if you observe carefully, they were a lot of different ink, red ink, blue ink, circle, which means a lot of approvals. Don't give this narrative, give this narrative, give that narrative. So Pakistan by that time was already giving narratives. We've done this, we've done that. And now we were left in countering the narratives. So they had the upper hand. Before, we should have reacted straight away. And we should have had our own narrative ready.
Continuously they were saying that we shot down
Rafale
the
and what
Rafale. Six Rafale, I think
Yeah.
they are claiming.
But that did not happen. Our Air Force rebuked it. This Air
And-
Force. They are in information warfare. Because they lie, they lie through the teeth.
Oh.
That's why they're shameless completely. You don't believe, Shoaib, if I tell you in 1999, the Kargil war was on that time, the Pakistani soldiers who had entered the Indian territory, they had come in civil dress. It was the regular army personnel who our army killed. They didn't take back their dead bodies. They said they're not ours. So it was Indian army who buried them with full military honors.
Is India providing any defense support to Afghanistan? If not, why India is not utilizing Afghanistan against Pakistan by providing active military support? Because Pakistan continuously saying and claiming India is supporting to Afghanistan and they are spreading uncertainty in our region called Balochistan. What do you want to say?
See, BLA often has, like Jafar Express was hijacked last year, BLA has often been, they've given Pakistan a tough time. The easiest thing for Pakistan to blame it is India supporting BLA, India is funding them, India is encouraging them. I don't know, we've got our own problems over here in our country, right? So, if BLA is attacking Pakistan, it's karma. Pakistan is responsible for its own actions. Today, Pakistan, like FATF, Financial Action Task Force, was refusing to give funds, a loan to Pakistan. During Op Sindoor, Donald Trump announced a loan to Pakistan. Last year, 1st to 10th February, a team of 10 members from Pakistan, from FATF had come to Pakistan. But no logical conclusion was reached. So they said, we'll go back. No proof.
Okay, sir. How Indian military can leverage its old intimacy with Bangladesh army to strengthen India-Bangladesh relation. As recent past, we have witnessed some troubled relations after ousting of Sheikh Hasina government.
See, I had gone to Bangladesh to give a TEDx talk in the year 2020, in the month of January. 2020 had just started. And I remember 2nd January 2020, General Qasim Soleimani was assassinated in Iraq by a US drone. And I remember sending that email to Bangladesh when this is a context I'm giving because I was speaking on a channel, on a big, very big, one of the biggest Indian news channels. And while I was speaking that, I had to reply to that email also, the TEDx invitation. That's how I remember this date. So I had gone to Bangladesh a few days later after that. And the treatment I got that time, I've come from India, red carpet, VVIP treatment, VVIP, the way and I went by road, mind you, I didn't go by air. I want to experience how it is, the Bangladeshi Rangers, our BSF outpost, and you cross the river, you go in a bus, you cross the river in a ship. It was a great experience. So
the new government has been formed under the
Mohammad Yunus came interim government, and then the new government.
Think Bangladesh can go against India, and they can afford it?
They can't afford it for sure, but yes, with the Jamaati influence, the Pakistan influence, Pakistan can poison the minds of Bangladeshis. And Bangladesh is one country which we had liberated in 1971. My father fought in that war from Longewala border. You must have seen the film Border. So my father was there in Longewala.
I want to ask one more question about the neighbor country. Development in Myanmar directly affecting the Indian northeastern region. After new government formulation, how Indian government can ensure the Myanmar should not be used against India, and how military can play its role?
Very good question, and thank you for asking me that, because I have I was posted in Nagaland, and I have keen interest in Northeast events. I served with the Assam Rifles. I speak fluent Nagamese. I led the Republic Day parade for the Assam Rifles 26 January 2008 with 2 stress fractures, but I did the parade because I was with the Assam Rifles. I had to do it, and I feel very proud about it. About that parade. I had 2 stress fractures, okay? I'd come from Nagaland. In my academy, when I was training in the army, I could not pass my DST, drill square test. First attempt failed, second attempt failed, third attempt failed, the midterm break, all the cadets went home. I wasn't allowed to go home. 4th attempt, after academy reopened, I had extra drills with me, punishment with me. 4th attempt failed, 5th attempt failed, 6th attempt failed. Then there was a dhakka mercy attempt, final attempt to make me pass, and that also failed. Then I was marched up to the commandant, Major General Avasthi from Rajput Regiment, big moustaches, very charismatic. Commandant was sitting in front of me, his office. And he said, "Beta, I have your dossier." Dossier is like a report card. It's a French word in the army. You're doing so well. Why is it that in one particular test you are failing repeatedly and consistently? I said, "Sir, when I came for my training, my father said, 'Son, do well in academy, make us proud.' But most important advice he gave me was, always keep your performance consistent." That's why I was consistently failing. 6 September 2003 was our passing out parade. I wasn't allowed to take part in the parade.
How was that feeling when you
Very
were
bad.
leading the Assam parade?
That was the very proud feeling. I'll tell you, this feeling was very, very bad. When my parents came for my passing out parade, my brother-in-law was serving in the Navy. My uncles are in the army. We have a military tradition in the family. We have a martial tradition. So they all had come with a star-pressed, must iron, brasswood uniform, buttons and stars. Randeep Hooda and Shahid Kapoor, we were in the same class together, right? Randeep and Shahid, after that, went to Bombay and they became stars. I joined the army and earned stars on my uniform. Right? And so I felt very... Thank you. So I felt very bad that, I could not...
It might have, you have won the lots of awards in acting, but whatever you won in the military and the nation would love your service, it will be remembered forever, sir, forever.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much. Yes, so that zakham was there in my heart. I could not do the parade. So now when I came from Nagaland, I was full of josh and vigor and energy. That in the drill ground, when I would practice, I would stamp my legs so hard that I developed stress fractures in both my legs. My shin bones started swelling and there were cracks because I would bang my legs. So, and when I would walk on the drill ground, they were horseshoe null. That there were sparks coming out from my boots and I would stamp my leg.
So finally, what message would you like to give PM Modi and Defense Minister in this time of global uncertainty as an retired major army officer?
First thing I would say, in February, in the recent budget, we found they came up with income tax on officers, on soldiers who were getting disability pension, which was not there earlier. And I am told, I don't know if it's true, I haven't done a research on it, but I have been told that the government has fought cases and counter cases, and they've spent some amount of money, which is much more than had they given the grant to our soldiers. So a nation which respects the soldiers is always doing very well. A nation which is not grateful, does not focus on the soldiers, does not pay attention to the soldiers, ultimately does not go well. So one is, kindly do reconsider the income tax on disability pension. That's an important issue for soldiers. Secondly, you have to focus on the defense of a country. Our brave soldiers, they unmindful of their own personal safety and the comforts. They live in difficult terrains, mountainous terrains. You don't get leave on time. You don't get food, hot food on time sometimes. But yet if you ask them, have you eaten? Yes, sir, we have eaten. They will lie, but they will not say that we are hungry. Without complaining, unconditionally, for the uniform, for the nation. And the nation sleeps in peace because our soldiers are there at guard and totally unmindful of their own personal safety. So please focus on our defenses. You mentioned what message for our defense minister, for a couple of months back, there was a huge book launch at the USI by General Raj Shukla, member of the UPSC at that time. And the defense minister was the chief guest, the CDS was the guest of honor, the army chief was a special guest. I was the host. I was the compare for that event. So, defense minister likes this poem by Makhan Lal Chaturvedi, Pushp Ki Abhilasha.
Makhan Lal Chaturvedi, it's Madhya Pradesh. He's from Madhya Pradesh.
Okay. So, the moment he entered, I said, "Cha nahi main sur bala ke gehnon mein gunda jaun." And I took up that poem because it's an English channel, people don't understand Hindi. Yeah. So it's one of his favorite poems, in fact.
You can tell the meaning of that poem.
"Cha nahi main sur bala ke gehnon mein gunda jaun. Cha nahi premi mala mein bin pyari kolal jaun. Cha nahi samraton ke shaf par he hari dala jaun. Cha nahi devo ke sar par chadu bhagye par itlaun. Mujhe tod lena vanmali, us path par dena tum phenk. मातृभूमि पर शीश चढ़ाने जिस पद जाएं वीर अनेक." Means the flower, it aspires to just be trampled under the boots of our brave soldiers. It's got no other ambition.
Okay, thank you so much, sir, for giving us time and to talk about the West Asia war in detail and the talk about the Indian defense power and all the things we covered in this interview. I think it will be very helpful to the audience to understand the whole situation, why the conflict is going on in the West Asia. I request you all to watch the full interview in our channel News Network Plus. Thank you so much, sir, for giving us.
Thank you, Shoaib. Thank you very much. And thank you, brothers. Thank you, Halbhai. Thank you, brother.